Good morning, John. Let's begin our discussion on conflict in teams, effective resolutions. Thanks for making time.
Good morning, Lucy. This is an important topic, and I'm glad we're addressing it together.
The tension between the marketing and sales teams needs attention. It's negatively impacting overall performance.
I completely agree. Their collaboration has been strained for weeks now. What specific issues have you noticed?
Marketing feels their efforts aren't valued. They believe sales doesn't use the materials they work hard to create.
That's valid, but sales often says the materials don't meet their practical needs during customer interactions.
Exactly. It seems like both teams are stuck in their own viewpoints, leading to this ongoing friction.
Do you think this is a simple communication issue, or are there deeper underlying problems causing this conflict?
It's a combination. Miscommunication is clear, but I also sense a lack of mutual trust and respect.
Trust issues are tricky to resolve. Building trust takes time, and we'll need a focused strategy to achieve that.
True, but we have to start somewhere. What's your opinion on holding a joint meeting with both teams?
I think it's a good idea, but we need to structure the meeting carefully to avoid making things worse.
Agreed. A neutral facilitator could help ensure the discussion stays on track and doesn't get overly emotional.
That's a great idea. A facilitator can guide the discussion toward constructive resolutions instead of letting it spiral.
I can arrange that. Should we also gather feedback from team leads before organizing the session?
Yes, we need to understand their perspectives first. It will help us structure a clear and focused agenda.
Absolutely. During the meeting, we must emphasize solutions instead of allowing them to dwell on complaints.
Agreed. We also need to ensure everyone feels heard. Ignoring valid concerns could make the situation worse.
What about setting clear objectives for the session? Would that help guide the conversation effectively?
Definitely. Objectives like improving communication, clarifying expectations, and aligning on shared goals could be helpful.
That makes sense. Should we allocate time during the meeting for brainstorming actionable solutions?
Yes, but we should balance it. Half the time for discussion, the other half for identifying next steps.
Good plan. Do you think an hour will be enough, or should we schedule a longer session?
Let's start with an hour. If we prepare well, that should suffice. We can extend if necessary.
I'll make sure the agenda stays focused. We don't want the discussion to drift into unrelated topics.
Agreed. Should we address their interdependence explicitly? That might help them see the bigger picture.
Yes, showing how their roles complement each other could foster mutual understanding and appreciation.
Do you think setting ground rules for the meeting would help keep it professional and constructive?
Absolutely. Rules like no interruptions, active listening, and focusing on solutions should be clear from the start.
Great. After the meeting, should we follow up with both teams to monitor progress and offer support?
Yes, follow-ups are essential. We need to ensure the changes are implemented and maintained effectively.
What about informal check-ins in the future? They could help catch issues early before they escalate.
That's a great idea. Regular feedback sessions would maintain open communication and prevent misunderstandings.
It sounds like we're on the right track. Should we schedule this meeting for next week?
Yes, next week works. I'll coordinate with the team leads and confirm their availability.
Perfect. Once we get their feedback, we can finalize the agenda. Anything else we should address now?
I think we've covered everything for now. Let's make sure we're fully prepared to guide this discussion. I spoke with the marketing and sales team leads. They both shared valuable insights about the current challenges.
That's great to hear. Did they provide specific examples or recurring issues that we should address?
Yes, marketing mentioned that sales often requests last-minute changes, which disrupts their planning and deadlines.
I can see how that's frustrating for marketing. Did sales share their reasoning for these last-minute changes?
They said customer demands frequently shift, and they need materials updated to meet client expectations quickly.
That makes sense, but it's clear the teams need a better process to handle these urgent requests.
Exactly. Both sides need to understand each other's constraints and find a middle ground to work efficiently.
Did they suggest any potential solutions? Or should we propose ideas during the joint meeting?
Marketing suggested a shared calendar for project timelines. Sales proposed having a dedicated point of contact for updates.
Those are promising ideas. Combining both could create a smoother workflow between the two teams.
Agreed. We should include these suggestions in the agenda and encourage further discussion during the meeting.
Absolutely. Did you also discuss how their goals align with the company's overall objectives?
Yes, both leads acknowledged the importance of collaboration in achieving better results for the organization.
That's encouraging. If we frame the meeting around shared goals, it might foster more cooperation.
Good point. Do you think we should include specific examples of successful past collaborations as motivation?
Yes, highlighting positive outcomes can remind them of what's possible when they work together effectively.
I'll prepare a few examples to share during the session. It could set a positive tone for the discussion.
Great idea. Should we also address any concerns about accountability or ownership of tasks during the meeting?
Yes, accountability was a recurring theme in my conversations with both leads. It's an area needing improvement.
Maybe we could introduce a simple tracking system to clarify responsibilities and progress on shared projects.
That's worth discussing. A tracking tool could reduce misunderstandings and ensure transparency between the teams.
Do you think we should introduce this idea during the meeting? Or wait until we get their feedback first?
Let's bring it up as a suggestion and gauge their reactions. Collaboration tools need team buy-in to work.
Agreed. Should we also allocate time for discussing any potential roadblocks they might foresee?
Definitely. Identifying obstacles early can help us address them proactively rather than reactively.
Speaking of obstacles, did either team mention resource issues or other constraints impacting their performance?
Marketing mentioned they often feel understaffed for the volume of work sales requests. It's a concern worth noting.
That's important to consider. Maybe we need to assess whether additional resources could help ease the tension.
Agreed. We can include that as a follow-up action after the meeting if the teams agree on priorities.
Should we include senior management in the follow-up discussions to secure support for any necessary changes?
Yes, their involvement would ensure that any agreed-upon changes have the backing needed for implementation.
Sounds good. Do we have all the key points for the agenda finalized now?
I believe so. We'll cover communication, trust, shared goals, process improvements, and accountability. Anything else?
That seems comprehensive. Let's ensure we communicate the agenda clearly to the teams before the meeting.
I'll send it out tomorrow along with the meeting invite. Clarity is key to setting the right expectations.
Perfect. Do you think we should share any pre-reading materials or questions for them to think about?
That's a great idea. I'll prepare a short document summarizing the issues and some key discussion points.
Excellent. This preparation should set the stage for a productive and solution-focused meeting next week.
I'm optimistic. If we guide the discussion well, I think we can resolve this conflict effectively.
I agree. Let's follow through with our plan and ensure we're ready for any challenges that arise.
The meeting went well, John. Both teams seemed open to the solutions we suggested.
That's great to hear. Were there any unexpected reactions or concerns during the discussion?
Yes, both teams seemed a bit hesitant about the shared calendar idea. They're concerned about additional workload.
I understand their concern. We need to emphasize how the calendar will actually save time in the long run.
Exactly. It will allow them to plan ahead, reducing last-minute requests and stress. We need to explain that clearly.
Perhaps we can also demonstrate how the calendar can work in practice before they fully commit to it.
That's a great suggestion. A trial period could help them see its benefits firsthand.
I'll create a draft of the shared calendar and present it to both teams next week.
I'll prepare a brief presentation highlighting the advantages of the tool and how it simplifies their work.
Sounds like a solid plan. Did you sense any improvement in their overall willingness to cooperate?
Yes, they were more collaborative once they realized the solutions could make their work easier.
That's a promising sign. Were there any other suggestions or concerns that came up during the meeting?
Both teams agreed on the importance of having a dedicated point of contact for urgent updates.
That's good to hear. Having a clear point of contact will help streamline communication between them.
Definitely. It will also prevent misunderstandings and ensure that urgent requests are addressed quickly and effectively.
I agree. Should we set up regular check-ins to monitor the implementation of these solutions?
Yes, I think monthly check ins would be beneficial to ensure both teams stay on track and address issues early.
I'll set up the first one for next month and make sure both teams know about it.
Great! After the meeting, I also made sure to send out a summary of the key takeaways.
Excellent. That will help keep everyone aligned and remind them of the action items.
Did either team mention any concerns about accountability for the tasks they agreed to take on?
Sales was a bit concerned about having enough time to complete tasks with their current workload.
Marketing also mentioned they might need additional resources to handle the workload from sales requests.
That's something we should address soon. We may need to discuss this with senior management for additional support.
Yes, I agree. We'll have to work on a proposal that outlines their resource needs and justifies it.
It might also help if we can show how the new processes will increase efficiency and reduce stress.
Absolutely. If we demonstrate that the changes will lead to better results, management will be more likely to approve it.
I'll work on gathering some metrics and examples to support that case. Do you think we should prioritize these changes?
Yes, prioritizing the process improvements and resource allocation should be our next step. That's what will have the biggest impact.
I'll schedule a meeting with management to discuss this. We need their approval before implementing major changes.
I'll help with preparing the proposal and ensuring it's aligned with what we've discussed with the teams.
Great teamwork. After we get approval, we can roll out the changes and track their effectiveness.
Yes, and with regular follow-ups, we can ensure the teams remain committed to the new processes.
This sounds like a solid approach. I'm confident that we can resolve the conflict and improve collaboration.
I agree. With the right processes and clear communication, both teams will have the tools they need to succeed.
Let's continue to monitor the progress and make adjustments as needed. The key is to stay flexible and responsive.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing the positive impact this will have on the teams and our overall performance.
Now, let's take a look at the meanings of some words mentioned in the conversation.
Hesitant. Unsure or reluctant to act, usually due to doubt or uncertainty.
She was hesitant to accept the job offer without knowing more details.
Understaffed. Lacking enough staff or workers to handle the workload.
The department was understaffed, causing delays in project delivery.
Streamline. To simplify or make a process more efficient.
The new software helps streamline the workflow in the office.
Justify. To provide a reason or explanation that makes something seem right or acceptable.
The team will justify their decision by showing the benefits it will bring in the long term.
Backlog. A collection of unfinished tasks or orders that need to be completed.
There is a backlog of work that needs to be addressed immediately.
Intervene. To take action to change or improve a situation.
The manager had to intervene to resolve the conflict between the two departments.
Conducive. Making a certain outcome more likely or easier.
A quiet workspace is conducive to productive thinking and concentration.
Reiterate. To repeat something for emphasis or clarity.
The supervisor reiterated the importance of meeting deadlines to the entire team.
Facilitate. To make a process or task easier or smoother.
The new software will facilitate communication between departments.
Incentivize. To provide motivation or reward to encourage a specific action or behavior.
The company decided to incentivize employees with bonuses for reaching sales targets.
Thank you for watching our video.